An entire WoW team just got cut, and it's already showing. Stop. This one is serious. I think I already know what this is about. This is about layoffs, guys. It's about layoffs, and unfortunately, layoffs are becoming an industry-wide thing. And I know layoffs have always happened in corporate America, but with the advent of AI and everything that's going on right now, it's just getting worse and worse. I know, the place I work and place some of my friends work, that this has just become a weekly thing where there are cuts left and right to teams, unfortunately. I guess it has finally struck Blizzard. So let's see what's going on here as we check out the new cuts happening at Blizzard from Bellular.
Blizzard may just have committed one of the largest mistakes they've made in years. And when I say that, I mean Blizzard, the corporate entity beholden to Microsoft, not the actual people in the Warcraft team. You see, what's happened here is cuts were made. A whole team was disbanded, and the impact of that has essentially been immediate. Take a look at this.
Damn.
At Mists of Pandaria Classic's launch, they posted claiming that the Timeless Isle calls. That's a little bit weird. You can't play the Timeless Isle until the last patch, right?
Geez.
And the replies go on to make it very clear that whoever's behind the account seems to think that Pandaria is referred to as the Timeless Isle. Now, obviously, that's a bit
AI, they got AI writing these posts, maybe? That could be it.
stupid. And if it were only that, this wouldn't be news. It would just be a mistake. No, this is actually a critical point in the story that I'm about to tell you. It's the story of how Blizzard, or definitely someone else, may have just jeopardized WoW's entire future by killing an entire team and replacing them with outsourcing. Here's something that's came in clutch. So I'm traveling to America for the opening day of Epic Universe soon, and I'll be bringing my sponsor, NordVPN, with me. And the reason why is simple. It's because, well, I'll save you.
Yeah, use
some money. So here's
NordVPN.
how.
Do I use AI to study case law? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I do. I use AI every day in my job now, and I will say my use of AI has exponentially grown. Maybe over the last 6 months to a year. Yeah, and it cuts time in half. It does. Like now my use of AI, I'll just pause this real quick. My use of AI has been so extensive at this point that I think I've become hyper efficient. Like things that would take me 2 to 3 days now, I can do them in a couple hours. And that's why this shit's happening. That's why this shit's happening. Now, can you completely cut out an attorney right now? No, but can you work with a smaller team now because each attorney can do so much more? Yeah, you can. You can, and I hate to admit that, but you can. And it's happening.
Back guarantee. They've actually saved me much more than they cost, and that's like only with one use. But of course, there's more than that. You can browse the web as if you're
that goes in
anywhere
every
using
industry.
Nord. That means bypassing, region-locked content. And with Nord, you're actually getting more security. Things like Threat Protection Pro, which unlike other basic DNS filtering solutions, covers far more threats. There's things like, malware, phishing, scams, and other threats as well. And I get that all seems very technical, but the good news is it's extremely easy to use. You just use their desktop and mobile app. It's extremely simple. And best of all, you'll get 4 months for free with a 2-year plan at nordvpn.com/BellularWarcraft. A big thanks to them for years of their support. And let's go. We all felt it with Dragonflight. Things had clearly changed at Blizzard. And this story starts with just one of those changes. On December 21st, 2022, Holly Longdale did something that spawned many news articles. She posted this roadmap. And with this, for the first time in WoW's history, we basically
This has been a great thing.
Whole planned future. Now, we don't know where the idea came from, but we do actually know who made it. A member of their social team, Ratzel. And over the next few years, we got plenty of roadmaps, right? We always saw what was coming, we were told when, and it helped us have faith in the game. Not always faith that would be good, but faith that, hey, there is a calendar, and it does seem that they're going to follow it.
It definitely created, I think it was very good for sub retention, because honestly, you look at the roadmap a lot of times, whereas like before you were sitting kind of in WoD and wondering like, will there be another patch? We have no idea what the fuck's coming around the corner, or if anything's coming. And the truth was nothing was coming at the end of WoD. But when you look at these roadmaps now, maybe you're not enjoying the current season, maybe it kind of feels stale, but then you could look at the roadmap and say, oh, well, end of the summer, we're getting this really cool new patch coming, actually. So maybe I'll just grind this out a couple more weeks and wait for this new patch to drop. And that's what the roadmap essentially did. It always gave you that kind of indication of what's coming next. It gave you an indication of Blizzard's inner workings, transparency, what we know they're working on, what we know is not coming. So I like it a lot. Housing looks fun. Yeah, there's tons of things that you can gather from those from those roadmaps, and you can actually get an indication of where Blizzard currently is in development. So it's cool. I like the
And
roadmaps a
it
lot.
did at least show that the game was alive, things were going on. Now, Ratzel was also the one
what's up,
behind
dear?
the excellent trading post previews and a whole bunch of infographics. And that's just one member of the WoW
this
social
thing.
team. The Warcraft accounts are actually full of like meme parody
I
shorts
love
that
this.
keep on going viral. They could hit upwards of 500k views in YouTube, and in one case,
This was
over
great.
2
I saw
million
this.
in TikTok. That's a hell of a lot of eyeballs on World of Warcraft, and some of those eyeballs will translate to sales. Or maybe will translate to more retention. Just keeping the flame of Warcraft alive in someone, even if their last touch point with the franchise was years ago. And every few days, there would be a meme, something to share, some well-presented short on what's coming in a patch. To put it simply, it felt like WoW, in terms of its social media presence and its ability to engage, was actually thriving again.
Yeah,
Unfortunately
I
for
agree.
us, Microsoft stepped in, and now they've killed that.
Oh no.
On the 2nd of July 2025, Microsoft laid off 9,100
Damn.
employees. Now, we don't have
Damn.
the exact figures of what hit the gaming division, but we do know that up to half of them were from Xbox. Now, remember, Xbox does include the WoW development team because that's Microsoft's gaming wing. As an example, the Elder Scrolls Online studio had their whole new MMO project be cancelled. So harshly, in fact, that they called the layoffs inhumane. That was
Wow.
even though apparently Xbox executives had played their new MMO and basically thought it was brilliant. And we know that at least some of these cuts were also from Blizzard Entertainment, because Ratzel announced that they were laid off. And in their tweet, they revealed
You know what's sad about all that? He said they played the MMO and thought it was brilliant, so thought it was good, but then executives went and cut everybody. This is the bullshit kind of corporate culture that's going around right now. And what it is a lot of really short-sighted CEOs who just want to make, there's that ever driving what's it called? Achievement system maybe in corporate America where it's like you constantly have to drive more profit. Like it's never enough, right? Record profits, great. Let's get record profits again. Okay, let's break that record now. And what these CEOs will do a lot of times is they'll be very short-sighted. They'll just say, okay, how far are we from getting another record? Oh, we're that close? Okay, cut like 9,000 employees, and that should put us over the top. Oh, but sir, we're going to need these 9,000. We'll worry about it when the time comes. And what ends up happening is you don't feel the repercussions of laying these people off for like 3-4 years down the line. But guess what? That CEO that made that decision, a lot of times he's like, fuck it, I'm out before that ever happens. So then you get somebody else who has to come in and deal with that shit. Maybe that person comes in and overhires to compensate for the fact that this person just laid off this many people. And now you're dealing with the same vicious cycle of a overhire, overfire constantly. And what that really is a leadership issue. It's not an issue with the people getting fired. It's a fucking issue with the people at the top. But they don't care. They don't care. It's a lot of short-sighted decisions, a lot of profit chasing, and really what suffers is the quality of the product and the employees themselves at the end of the day. It's sad.
they had been doing it for the last 3 years, right? Doing their job. That's exactly the span of when WoW's public reputation started to...
Yeah, and true. If a CEO does eventually get fired for their stupid decision, they get a golden parachute. That's right. They don't give a shit. Like, so what? Money is not going to be their ego gets hurt a little bit, whereas the other employees who get laid off now they got to figure out how they're going to pay their mortgage.
Upswing. I mean, yes,
Yeah, it's
we can
fucked
talk
up.
about individual game design things, but just their ability to engage in social media, that was there. Another person is Stats, who is a writer for the social team. They didn't get a contract renewal. Another 3-year veteran laid off was Eric. And in a series of now deleted tweets, Eric said the layoffs are, quote, cleaning up what's left of the team after it was being dismantled beforehand, likely, of course, in the earlier layoff waves that have happened this year. No, instead, Microsoft will be saving money. They'll be doing that by outsourcing all of that social team's work to an agency. Now, that social team was responsible for
Nice.
basically spreading the good news of parts of WoW reviving. And by every metric that we can see, they were successful. Look at the shorts, look at the Twitter engagement. It was there, it was much better, but now they are gone, replaced by outsiders to cut costs. And within just 1 week, the impact of this was absolutely clear.
So an outside firm that basically is not well integrated with the company, doesn't know much about the game, is now going to be making its Twitter posts and shit. Fantastic. Yeah, that's why we're getting these stupid-ass posts about Mists of Pandaria. And I'm sure the agency is in a developing country where they pay 1/10 of what they're worth. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're not outsourcing this to an agency in New York. It's Mumbai, India, right? That's where they're going. No doubt. And it's sad. It is, because a lot of good people are going to lose their jobs over this just for the sake of saving a few dollars here and there. Yeah, too bad. Um, Incoming AI story writing. Yuck. Yeah, that'll happen too. That'll happen too.
Look, if we didn't notice, we probably wouldn't have made this video, but we did notice, because it was blindingly goddamn obvious. Matt and our team sponsored one of these new posts after the layoffs, and he was kind of appalled. And look, here in Northern Ireland, we totally talk like sailors, so I can't actually relay his specific words, or else YouTube would get angry, but here's the post that he was reacting to. It is just weird. Quote, experiment with best environments for animals. Is that a banner in Temu? What's going on? Bad English and an even uglier image. This is terrible.
It's an indication of English being their second language, sure, and that's it's not their fault. It's not the people's fault that they're hiring. It's the company's fault that they're sacrificing quality to save a couple bucks. The people on the other side, and wherever part of the world they are, English is their second language. They're doing their best just to make do with what they can make do with. It's not their fault. So I don't feel like you should be mad at the people making the posts. They got hired. They didn't fire the people at Microsoft. That was their decision.
The game. The new shorts that exist explaining the features are stiff, they are boring, they don't even use the right goddamn font. Scrolling down the Facebook page, you can also tell which posts are from the new agency because they are dry and they are lifeless. This is the sort of thing that you may think is minor, but look, the discipline of copywriting is one of those things where it's actually the tiny little changes that add up humongously. Copywriting is important, and whoever's
The
involved in
timeless
this
aisle,
stuff
yeah.
is not a skilled copywriter. And look, you don't even need to be a skilled copywriter if you actually know and love the community that you're talking to. Basically, these people don't know that community. And while that example is just a minor one, it actually misrepresents the new content that it's trying to show off. Now, the worst that I've seen so far is one you've already been showed. This one, the Timeless Isle calls. No, it doesn't call. That's in patch 5.4, which you won't be able to play for ages. Pandaria calls.
Yeah.
So whoever wrote that obviously doesn't know World of Warcraft. They've just read some brief. Probably an AI summary of a brief because, look, honestly, ChatGPT or Claude would probably write better content than this.
Probably.
And at least know how to capitalize a feature. This is unbelievably bad. So to me, this is just sloppy, and it's a very stark contrast to say this pretty damn incredible looking launch trailer that is the sort of thing that would make people want to go.
Yeah,
and
what's
buy
the
it.
guy's name who makes these? Hurricane or something? That Blizzard outsources this to a creator, an American creator. He goes and makes this stuff for them. He does a really good job.
Game. So to me, whenever I look at these posts, it feels like something familiar. The complete garbage ads that you see for janky mobile cash grab games. Not the sort of premium legendary MMO that World of Warcraft is supposed to be. And if you think I'm exaggerating, check out this next post because it's the exact opposite. Quote, a voice that echoed like thunder across worlds, a spirit too wild for just one realm, Azeroth salutes you. You know that someone with heart wrote that, right? It's about Ozzy.
Yeah,
There's
badass
feeling
post.
there. Calling him the original Prince of Darkness is, of course, a reference to the old World of Warcraft ad that he made with Blizzard back during the day. And that was another time, an era where WoW actually had effective marketing, at least in its home market. Ozzy, Mr. T, South Park episode. Basically, for lack of a better way to put it, they had the right vibes. WoW was thriving and had a great rep, and all that publicity sealed the deal. Now, though, that type of heart, that type of connection with the audience, that's just not really possible under Microsoft's tenure. Look at the sorts of cuts that they make. And the reason why is their institutional pressures and their institutional DNA. Because at the end of the day, this is an entertainment product that is being ran by an enterprise software company.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I always say it. The death of a company is usually when it goes public. That's when it becomes soulless, right? Because then it just becomes the infinite chase of profits, and the profits need to continue to increase no matter what. Like, it's never enough. You never see a company say, well, we hit record profits last year. We're good with that. So we're just going to, anything we make beyond this, we're just going to like give extra bonuses to our employees or something. You know, that would be a nice thing, but that's not going to happen. Instead, you're just going to see the constant pressure to push the stock price up, and that pressure leads to cuts and stupid-ass, short-sighted decisions because they need to draw, milk an extra dollar out of each of the games they sell or whatever, the cars they sell, whatever it is. So it's just this public market, and how it's traded and how the stocks work and everything. That's what drives all of these decisions.
In this world, there are hard things and there are soft things. No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about numbers versus vibes, right? The quantitative and the qualitative. They are different. And the vibes are the sort of thing that Blizzard got right for years, then messed up, and just started kind of recently, the last few years, to get right again. Now, these layoffs come from Microsoft, a very different culture, one that only really cares about the hard things, the rational, the quantifiable. How can they cut costs to get the next quarter to look better? Where can they replace one team with another team that is cheaper? To someone who works in money and hard numbers, a social media post is just a social media post. You might have a quota per week. But as I just showed you, it's very obviously not that to us on the ground. And it's that all the same mentality. A social post is a social post is a social post.
Yeah.
Quality doesn't matter. That sort of mentality is
Typically you got like a CFO or his underlings, these financial people working on this stuff, and they're trying to figure out where to cut costs, and they don't know anything about fucking World of Warcraft. They don't know shit about the stuff they're actually looking to cut. They're just like, well, I found this agency out in, wherever, and they can do this for like half the cost of these guys that we have sitting in Seattle right now. So let's just cut these guys and hire those guys. Bam, that's like a 30% savings right there. They don't know that, they don't know the Timeless Isles is going to be used at a fucking post incorrectly. They don't give a shit. They don't even know what the hell that is. They're so removed from the products as financial people that they just see it as numbers. That's all it is to them, is a numbers game, and they're going to make the numbers work.
how we get to something like this. Take a look at this. This is the extremely obvious use of generative AI in an internal crossover. And look, we can't say who's to blame here exactly. It could just be a contracted artist being cheeky, or the NetEase Immortal team passing something over to Blizzard. But either way, it should never have happened, because this is what we're left with. Not even Taronda warrants enough respect to be hand-drawn, so we get this weird bimboified, straight out of an image gen thing. It's a Blizzard that doesn't care enough to make real or even convincing art. Now, obviously, the employees at Blizzard do. Even the leaders. I do not believe for a second that Holly or Ian would sign off on something like this for World of Warcraft, or would let their social team go without a fight. I actually hope that me making a video like this and making public awareness will arm people within Blizzard with a bit of a stick, being able to say, well, look at that very riled up community who disagrees with the obviously bad thing that you lot did. That's useful. This video is meant to give them ammunition. So, yeah, Ian, Holly, reload your Glock with mind bullets from this video. Anyway, take a look at this. Ian even appeared in one of their shorts, right? So this stuff can work, and those people were integrated, right? Ian and Holly know that the social team matters. That's why part of this stuff's got better, because the people leading the company clearly know what's important. Or should I say, leading the team, because the company is kind of a different thing. And Microsoft are a company so large that they do not cut costs with a scalpel. No, they use a scythe. They close their eyes and take humongous swings. I mean, if you've got over 200,000 employees and you want to chop off a few percentage, what else are you going to do? The market needs good news this quarter, goddammit.
Exactly.
And look, at least we don't have AI being used to promote WoW. Not yet. Not being over dramatic. Dakor on our team couldn't believe that the Timeless Isle mistake was real, so he asked if it was AI. Like, he basically said, hello, World of Warcraft, are you a chatbot, Mr. X account? And they said, no, they have no intention of using AI
at this time.
Now, there's a whole talk about Gen AI in the future and all of that stuff that we don't even need to have in this instance, actually. Because even if we only think about output quality, well, that's okay. We can see the output is slop. It's shit. It's bad work. This cost-cutting leads to sloppy work, and that leads to death by 1,000 cuts. AI promo art tells you that the event is a cash grab, right? It's all about signaling value. If this event actually mattered, well, maybe they would have bothered to actually put some effort in, instead of just go generate a thing, right? If you see poorly written social posts, guess what? That'll tell you that the reputation of this game is a bit of an afterthought, because whoever's doing this is just...
it just tells you that they're putting cost in front of quality. That's what it tells you. They're putting, I should say, profit in front of quality. And that's all they care about. And so they're just going to cut corners everywhere they can. And if it happens on their social media posts, it's probably happening in their game too. I agree. It creates like a really bad reputation for the entire game itself and the company. But a lot of, like I said, the corporate bigwigs, they're not going to see it that way. They're just going to be like, oh, yeah, we saved some money. That looks good. No, how much profit did you make off of this? Wow, that's great. Yeah.
Social media posts
They don't realize that had you spent a little bit more money here, you could have made a little bit more on the back end.
for a quota. Now, I'm not saying that this is the end of the world, but I am saying this has got the potential to do serious damage. There's a reason why. Because World of Warcraft is about to get its best chance ever, and right as it has that chance, they fired the people who could capitalize on it. Opening Night Live is the big thing for Gamescom, and it averaged out to 1.1 million live viewers last year. The VOD had over 40 million viewers. That's a lot of people. Now this year, Xbox actually forked out to have the Midnight Cinematic be shown to all of those people, right? Now, Midnight is the first expansion built
we're gonna watch it
exclusively, completely as a part of the World Soul saga. The War Within was basically them taking an already half-done expansion and kind of ramming it into the story that they would end up telling, which is why War Within is a little bit funny. Anyway, what it's also is the first pure Metzen cinematic kind of since his return, his full return, that is. And we already...
I'm expecting something great. I'm not going to lie. I hope I don't get let down. But I really was let down by the War Within cinematic of the dancing girl and the dwarf pulling his chain and all that shit. I just want to see something badass go down. I want to see a Wrath of the Lich King or Warlords of Draenor-esque, like, badass freaking cinematic where some kind of major event happens. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see. Dragonflight and the War Within had two cinematics where like, okay, I don't know who these people are. I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, there's Alex Straza. Cool. That was how the Dragonflight one, and then the War Within one, I had no idea what was going on the whole time, and I don't think anything significant ever happened in that whole what's it called, cinematic. It was just like, okay, I could have played the expansion without watching this guy. I didn't really need this, so I'm hoping for something badass to happen.
Kind of know what's going to happen. We see Silvermoon being invaded by the Void, and the last big cinematic that Chris Metzen was heavily involved in before he left. Well, it was the Battle for Azeroth.
That was a good cinematic, too.
Now, that expansion didn't turn out great narratively, but goddamn, that cinematic captured what we all wanted from Battle for Azeroth. The problem with BFA is BFA just wasn't particularly interested in telling its own story. So it told other random stories, but that's not really the point. The point is we have an opportunity that could be that big. A cinematic that has one of the largest reaches they will pretty much have had in years and years and years and years. This would be the perfect time for WoW's social media team to plant a flag, to capitalize on all of this. And for all that to be capitalized on by a team who are genuinely deeply excited, who come from the community and know the community, who can make clever posts, who can do jokes that are actually funny, do clips that can go viral because they're funny instead of being forced cringe all the time. Yeah. But now that will not happen because those people are gone. When people go to look at World of Warcraft socials and official links, they'll see incredible cinematics and feel powerful vibes. And then that will immediately be undercut by cheap, shitty work everywhere else. This, even looking at their Facebook and so many of their comms, it's just weird, janky sentence, sort of related emoji.
Yeah, broken English, here's an emoji.
Absolutely embarrassing. This is a complete shame. Like, you should be ashamed, people responsible for this. And I say people responsible for this because the poor bastards at the other end of some outsourced company being forced to do this stuff, it's not their fault. No, it's
exactly what I said.
Making the cuts. It's
yeah, like
fault.
some people get really pissed off at another country because they're like, oh, they ruined WoW. It's not their fault. They didn't what's it called, hire themselves. Microsoft went out and hired them, and they did that. And by doing that, they fired a bunch of people here who actually knew what they were fucking doing. So the guys over there, they're just doing their best. They don't know. They don't want to make a bad fucking post. They just don't know how to do it. And they're just they've been told to make a post, so they're doing it. It goes both ways. It's sad.
The people who don't understand that this is an entertainment product, that this is something that people engage with on an emotional basis. It's not enterprise software. And even worse, imagine being the World of Warcraft development team, actually trying. And maybe you're excited. Maybe you have ground out through what I know has been a goddamn tumultuous time internally for that team. They've shipped out so many patches. I know people are kind of struggling, feeling burnt out and stuff like that over there. So for so many of those people, what's Midnight going to be? Well, their first chance to actually have an expansion sort of made to plan, without bullshit of being in a massive transitionary sort of era, right?
Yeah.
'Cause it's not like they're, halfway through War Within development and suddenly medicines came in. The story's different now. This should be their big moment. And what are they going to see their work represented by? Utter slop like this. Those people deserve better. The community deserves better. This is an embarrassment and a travesty, and it absolutely needs to end. All I can say is I highly encourage you to let your authentic feelings on this issue be known. Because that way, well, maybe someone will take notice. And to get an idea of the lore leading us into Midnight and how it's kind of changed, how things are shaping up, watch this video next.
Yeah, it's sad, and this isn't even an AI play. I thought when I saw the title of this video that this was going to be, oh, they were replaced with AI. They weren't. They were just outsourced to another cheaper company to use, which also sucks. But this is just the beginning, because I guarantee you the outsourcing to that company, that'll end once AI can take over, and they'll fire those guys too, and then they'll just have AI doing it, and that's really the future of a lot of these things. And I just think this whole profit-driven culture, I saw somebody say, oh, capitalism, oh, it leads to innovation, and that's like, you were basically saying like, yeah, right. I mean, it does, but it doesn't lead to it in the most moral ways a lot of times. So yeah, capitalism does lead to innovation, but it also leads to immoral decisions in the pursuit of profit. And I think eventually, look, I'm not a big like government should interfere kind of guy, but I think eventually the government's going to have to. I do, because I think eventually universal income is going to be required to help people survive, because AI is just going to take so many people's jobs away. By the way, they keep cutting all over the place at these companies. They're not hiring people to replace these people. They're cutting and just saying we can do more with less because now we have AI. So all that shit's going to happen, and I think these corporations, in their pursuit of profit, they're going to have to pay into the system. Because you're not going to have any customers. If you fire everybody and everyone's fucking living on the streets, who's going to buy your damn product, you idiots? So at the end of the day, you're going to have the government subsidizing all these people who are now unemployed. And I think these companies, if they don't retain a certain amount of employees, whatever it is, someone can come up with that number. Like, you have to have X amount of employees, and if you fall below that number, you start to pay a tax. And that tax goes to the universal income. That's the only way I see you forcing these people. I don't care if these corporations become fucking daycares, where they just keep people around and give them paychecks and try to find things for them to do because they don't want to pay this, this extra tax that would be applied to them. So be it. Because if you don't put guardrails up, these fuckers are just going to fire everybody. They're just going to be a C-suite, and that's it. You just have AI running everything else. UBA, yeah, Wall-E. Hey, these kinds of movies are just all foreshadowing the future. That's for sure. That's an elegant system. It's, it's not just the tech industry, for sure. It's every single industry. I don't work in the tech industry, and it's happening where I work, too. Yeah, almost like unfettered capitalism might be bad. Yes, no, I totally agree. And like I said, I'm not like super, I wouldn't consider myself like, oh, I lean right all the time or I lean left. I go back and forth on every subject. Whatever the subject is, I make that decision there and then. I'm not part of a cult on either side. I just look at a fucking situation, I'm like, this needs to be fixed, and this is how you should fix it. And in this situation, yeah, I do think some government interference is required, because this train is gonna be derailed soon. That's where it's going. Nice video from Bellular.